Before New Year's Eve comes New Year's Eve Eve.
Which means it's time for the second annual Rock and Robyn New Year's Eve special.
Join us December 30th at 9 p.m. Eastern on our Patreon. This event is not paywalled. Free and paid members are welcome.
We'll be watching Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 1 live, reacting in real time, and honoring Robyn Brown's eternal love for sparkly Mormon vampires.
Watch along at home and chat with us in the comments. Go to patreon.com/survivingpod to join. See you there.
Surviving Sister Wives contains adult content that may not be suitable for Latter-day Saints or sinners. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to Surviving Sister Wives.
I'm Corey.
And I'm Carly, and we're at Season 20, Episode 14. You are toxic to me.
You are toxic to me. It doesn't really matter which direction this goes.
You're toxic to me.
I'm sorry if I was toxic to you or am continuing to be toxic to you.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
I apologize for that. Because get ready. Yeah, you're going to hear Kody say the word apology, apologize, I'm sorry, some form of an apology 32 times this episode.
It did get to the point where the word just starts to lose its meaning. You know, when you hear a word too many times, all of a sudden you start to feel like maybe that's just a thing that people disassociate.
Well, when you track it out too, like this is like the Lisa Barlow by name in the first episode, even though she didn't even make an appearance, but you heard her name like 40 times, once per minute, pretty much. I mean, for actual screen time that Kody and Meri had for this episode, because there is some stuff of Christine and David, some stuff of Janelle and Maddie. So, I mean, probably at least once per minute while Kody and Meri are on screen.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. They're only 42 minutes without ads.
Yeah.
So the other 10 minutes are everybody else's scenes.
Probably, at least.
Well, let's get into it because, first, let's delay it.
Oh.
Have to let Maisie scritch before we get into the episode.
A heavy scritch.
That's not why I was trying to
bias time.
Change right?
Yeah.
I want to talk about Janelle's post on Instagram that happened after we recorded last week.
Right.
So she posted, first of all, she's been trying to promote her second chapter life coaching business on Instagram. It's very obvious that she's rebranding her entire page to be around this business. And it definitely looks like she's using ChatGPT to write a lot of the captions for the things she's been posting.
So did she just not give it a good prompt? Did she not answer the questions correctly?
It's like, what do you know about Janelle Brown from Sister Wives? Now write me a caption about my coaching business.
It was like, let me scan her Instagram real quick and get a feel so I can really sell it in her voice.
Let me scan all of the AI written articles and things on Facebook. And this is what we ended up with. I used to think I'd broken at certain points in my life, leaving the show, leaving a marriage, starting over at an age where everyone expects you to have it all figured out. I kept looking at the pieces and thinking something must be wrong with me. And then it goes on for another, 6 to 8
rambles
paragraphs.
on. Yeah, like it usually does.
But leaving the show?
Leaving the show seems interesting. And I guess everybody kind of jumped to a conclusion here that this could be the end of Sister Wives because McKelty also posted a whole thing about how she's starting a new chapter with her content adventures of the Padron family to keep the story going because that's why everyone is still watching Sister Wives, to get those Tony and McKelty updates.
Right. So if you want those, you have to go to her Patreon and subscribe to the new video content.
Right.
But she said since the show may be ending after 20 years.
Maybe ending.
Which is, it's 20 seasons.
Not definitive either. Yeah, like that it would be a conclusion to the show. Christine's already confirmed that they have filmed things for what would be a season 21. So will that come to fruition? Will they air that as the final season, series finale? We'll have to see how that plays out. I guess what I'm getting at is even if Janelle says she left the show, Janelle could leave the show at this point, even though we think that Tata Farm's storyline has the most legs.
it could be its whole own spinoff.
It absolutely could.
Yeah.
I mean, the wings itself. It has wings too, I guess is a better way to put that, because the bats alone is a whole storyline that we could get into probably.
We spent a lot of time talking about this over on the Patreon. We released a mediocre down episode last week where we speculated more about the show ending and what they could do to make the content better if it does keep going.
So if you feel like this is a little behind, it's because we already kind of talked about it last week. So we are playing catch up on the public feed. So if you want to stay tuned for all the fun stuff immediately as it drops, head over to patreon.com/survivingpod. You don't want to miss a thing.
I think the important thing is just that's not confirmation that this show is over.
No, it's not a definitive thing. This is
No.
still very speculative, and it's just based off of Janelle's post in tandem with McKelty's post, because this is the point in the season where everybody always suspects, oh, the waning viewership of Sister Wives, even though there's not waning viewership at all. But it's always that point in the season where people begin to speculate, oh, this could be the end of Sister Wives as we know it.
Yeah. We get about, 10 weeks while the show's airing where nobody says anything, and then that comes up again.
It always, every season. So this is just that time again.
Also, make sure you stay tuned to the end of the episode to hear about what else is going on in the Patreon this week, because we have a Rockin' Robyn's New Year's Eve special announcement.
Second annual Rockin' Robyn New Year's Eve special. So if you're listening before New Year's 2025,
2026.
Well,
or 2026.
It'll be rolling to. I'm saying New Year's Eve 2025 is probably when we're going to stop running that ad at the end of the episodes here.
Okay, let's get into it. You want to start with Christine and David because I'm going to complain about them a bit. Are you ready for it?
I think so.
All right.
I have a lot of notes from Meri and Kody. I had to scroll past. So yeah, here. There was a significant amount of scrolling that I had to do here. Okay, yeah, we're in Salt Lake City. We have Christine and David. They're in the basement.
They've got big plans for it. They're building something down here.
Something, but they're staying aloof as to what is under construction currently. Some sort of mother-in-law suite, some sort of
completely
sex
soundproof
dungeon, sort of. Well, yeah, Christine learned her lesson from being the basement wife before. Soundproofing's very important.
But being down there is just kind of triggering her PTSD from having been a basement wife. So once again, Christine's scene is going to be about talking about the past and being married to Kody.
All the way back in Lehigh. I was also very excited. We got to see the wall that David did our drywall demo cameo for. So that was really impressive too.
They had the tripod all set up across from it. Just left it there.
That's where it's going to stay.
Been there for months.
We got lots to do down here.
So I think the important thing to remember is that Christine volunteered to be in the basement. This was by her own choice, but also it just made sense
also,
given the number of rooms.
It was
that
like
was needed.
destiny. Yeah. Because Janelle had the most kids at that time. And so she needed more rooms, more bedrooms. And then Meri's apartment, as they referred to it, was kind of the smaller one. It only had a few rooms. So then obviously Meri would go there. So Christine just sort of ended up in the basement.
Which seems depressing. Not a lot of light down there.
It makes sense.
And you have to listen to Meri smashing her hooves into the floor every day.
Yeah, because I think Christine was being intentionally vague for what she was mentioning, that she could hear everything. Because then also this is being intercut with the Meri and Kody conversation that's going on, which it's kind of like an argument, even though Cody's trying to do apology stuff. But it's sounding like an argument because they're just always mad at each other all the time. They do not communicate well at all. So I think that's what, when Christine's saying stuff, could she hear them having sex? Probably.
Were they effing?
Were they having, it was the F and effing.
Mm-hmm.
I think she was hearing more fighting than fucking though, if we're being honest.
Yeah. I mean, that's uncomfortable. It's not enjoyable to listen to other people fight and then have to pretend like you don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Especially when you heard every word.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of weird.
That is kind of what Robyn did for many years.
Well, yeah.
Where she knew everybody's business and acted like she didn't.
But she's a better actress than Christine. Is she? Is she? Who would get the Oscar in this family?
No, actually, Robyn is claiming that the basement wife thing is all fiction. Doesn't exist within polygamy.
Oh, no. I like how she said, if that was happening, if that happens in a family, it's because the basement wife deserves it. Basically, was how she kind of laid it out there. Was like, if you're being treated like a basement wife, you did something to be treated like that.
We only saw Robyn a couple times doing confessionals in this episode, and it was annoying every time she popped up because she was lying.
Yeah, she's full of shit. I like how Janelle had to undercut it too. I've been basement wife a couple of times too over the years, I'm sure. I think that was mostly when you first came into the family, probably would be that small window of time.
I say that was only like, what, a year before Christine showed up to rescue you all from the hellscape that you were living within?
I mean, she did have her moments too where I don't think you could refer to yourself as being basement wife when you moved out and you were living on your own, Janelle. Like, you just left the family at a couple different times when they moved out of state, and then you were like, I'm staying here, see you later. Is that a basement wife scenario?
I don't know. Maybe she felt like that did put her back at the bottom of the hierarchy.
I guess that all seemed to fall out of her mind too, on her recollection of her and Kody's relationship this episode, where she was like, yeah, it was pretty good up until like the last couple of years. Really? Because we've heard several stories where you guys were like living in separate states for 8 months.
It was pretty bad.
It didn't sound like the most functional relationship.
No.
By any stretch of the imagination. So, I don't know. Janelle has this way of just kind of grabbing little bits and pieces and then just hanging on to that for whatever works for. She doesn't want to think about too much of that yucky stuff.
Yeah. Well, again, it's because the bar is so low that she forgets a lot of the bad stuff.
Well, and it was like, oh, that was when he was treating me bad, which that's whatever. It's when he started treating my kids bad. That was when it crossed the line.
And the dogs.
And the dogs.
I kind of agreed with what Meri said because I think we all observed this, at least in the early seasons, where it felt like Kody did take turns rotating who the favorite was in the past, right? Before Robyn came around.
Well, she didn't even say rotating favorite. She said rotating affection, which I think that's kind of how it should be, is if he's going from house to house, you should be prioritizing that wife to an extent.
But do you think that she means rotating affection like throughout the week when he's with that wife that he focused his attention on them, or that for long periods of time, somebody was the one who was getting most of the affection and was thereby the favorite?
I was taking it as a throughout the week rotation is how it was interpreted. It was being framed in a conversation where people were talking about who favorite wife.
Yeah.
So then that puts it into that context. But I was thinking of it like he used to be on that schedule where he would rotate. So I thought it was pertaining to that.
Kody has just always come across to me as a what have you done for me lately kind of person. And that's what he bases his current relationship with you off of.
It's a sales mentality. Yeah, that's kind of, that's just what he does.
Always be selling. Who's your best customer?
You gotta. So they're exploring the equality issues. Christine's explaining it to David. That wasn't really up to her. David's trying to say, was that something that was decided amongst all of you? Was that something that was, kind of just carried out by Kody and that you were just kind of dealing with the repercussions of that as a side effect? And it seemed like it was more so that. And then I love how Kody was like, oh, I did not have an established pecking order for my wives. Nothing worse than having a wife who needs to report to another wife. But basically what I did was when they had a problem at home, I just went to work because I was like, I need to pay the mortgage. You guys need to sort all that stuff out. So
that's what he left them to do.
You left them to sort it out in their own way, which obviously there becomes a pecking order because Christine's just going to agree with whatever works and placate everyone and not speak up about anything.
Well, he already knew that when it was just two wives, when it was Meri and Janelle, that Meri bullied Janelle. And then, like you said, Christine was there to kind of placate everyone and try to make sure things didn't escalate to the point that nobody could get along anymore.
Well, what's wild, too, is where Meri used to be the shining example. So,
Yes.
like, that was what Christine brought up, was that for a while, Meri was the favorite. Like, very clearly, it was her.
Well, so how are you going to say there shouldn't be a wife in charge of the other wives? But then you're telling your other wives, do everything the way Meri does it.
I like all of these things that Meri does, and you need to do that also. So I guess that's where it gets confusing, because then that shifted, because then his favorite became Robyn, and then it was, hey, everybody needs to do things exactly like Robyn, otherwise I'm not going to love you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess that was like a standard where we were kind of more critical of that initially when it first came up. But I guess that is confusing, where it's like they kind of went along with it when it was Meri as the example. And then everybody pushed back once it was, oh, Robyn's the example now.
Yeah, I wonder why that was. Maybe just not wanting to do it again, that you spent all these years being told you should be like somebody else. And then they had that autonomy when they didn't have to live in one house anymore, that they could be themselves and not be Meri.
I think it became that. It was that taste of freedom, essentially, that came with master of your own domain. And then through that, yeah, you don't want to be going back into that box where you're trying to just appease someone, basically.
Plus, I think it's kind of different, right? Because the Meri stuff was like, I like the way Meri cleans. I
Right.
like the way Meri does the laundry. It's not, I want you to be completely subservient to me and make your children do everything that I say they should do.
I want you to rub me the way Robyn rubs me.
Gross.
Because that's very important for me.
It was, apparently.
Obviously.
Yeah. I think the big bombshell we're supposed to take away from this is that Christine and Kody are technically related.
Christine was trying to make it a big thing here, and then Janelle even undercut it. She's like, they're third cousins. I mean, it's not that close of a relationship. You don't even bump into each other at like family reunions or anything. You're not that close. It's not like a brother-sister bond.
The fact that they didn't bring that up really upset me.
I wanted the producer to be like, oh, so like not like a brother-sister thing, right?
Come
and then
on.
see if Janelle even gets it
Give
in
us
that
the
moment.
comedy.
That would be funny. You have to be able to rip. And I think of all the people on the cast, Janelle would laugh at that joke. She would get it.
Yeah.
But the producers are like, oh, cagey about it. They don't want to upset her. I don't know. Maybe they were just spending the day talking to Kody or something. And so then it was just, yeah, we can't make those types of references. It's not allowed.
All right, let's get into Kody and Meri meeting up. First of all, they're doing this at a public park on a picnic bench. Maybe not the best place to do that when your marriage ended on a picnic bench on Coyote Pass.
Is that why he did it, though? Was he just trying to have that, like, remind her of that final conversation
He wanted to
had?
trigger her a little bit. I kind of think if you asked Kody, he would say it was because he didn't want to do it in a restaurant because he was afraid she was going to get loud. Because it's very obvious that he has feared this conversation the most out of all of them.
Okay, what's funny is how this conversation starts off, like, they didn't even get to sit down yet. It starts immediately. They had to film all of this, the whole process of going over to the table, because basically we have Kody rolling up in the parking lot at this public park, and he is preparing us for the day of what to expect, because he's in kind of a weird mood for Meri's apology.
Because he doesn't want to do it.
He's got a whole vibe going on. Yeah, I think it's because he's dreading it.
He does not like her, and he doesn't genuinely mean the apology.
Yeah, this is all for show, and he's trying to figure out how he's going to go through with this without completely going off the rails here.
Should be okay as long as I don't mention Jen.
Should be okay.
And then we get the backstory on that.
Yeah, because Kody helped Meri move. Remember? It was a great day. We were bumping uglies. There was touching.
Were cackling.
There was touching. There was rubbing. We were laughing and joking.
And then it all kind of changed because he saw Jen talk shit about him on the show. He calls Meri.
Because they promised, Meri promised that they were going to be nice to each other.
Yeah.
They were going to be nice, but Jen was saying stuff on the show. So then Kody has to call Meri up and he's like, hey, your friend needs to shut her mouth, basically.
I got right in her face.
I got right in Meri's face over the phone. Which is the safest way to do this, because I wouldn't do that in person. I'm liable to end up getting socked in the face if that were to happen.
I think she took it really personally.
Well, it was, yeah, he got as in her face as much as you can over the phone. And
Why
then
was that not filmed?
He told her that, yeah, you need to tell your friends to keep their mouths shut. I think she took that really, really personal.
You see, this is the thing that I'm not liking about Kody and Meri's storyline, because Meri has gone out of her way to be as nice as she possibly can be on camera. I do think part of that is allowing her friends to say the nasty things while she just sits by and kind of makes faces.
Loophole.
Loophole, yeah. She found her way out of it.
She found her loophole, yes.
But all of these negative interactions between Kody and Meri are not happening on camera, and he's doing that on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
He's calling her and confronting her about her friends when there's no cameras around. He's trying to backdoor cheat her out of her part of Coyote Pass where we're not seeing it.
You can see some of it on display in this conversation because, well, so they start off because when Meri pulls up to the parking lot and then they make their initial contact here. And it's basically, she's got her coffee. She's all juiced up. She's ready to go. And let's get down to business, basically, because we're jumping right into this. Because Meri doesn't know what the hell are we doing here.
Well, he asked, do you want a hug or a shake?
How do you want to start this? It's all in good faith, all in goodwill.
But that's confusing to her, and I think it should be for everyone else.
Peace on earth, goodwill toward Meri.
The last time that we saw them, it was at that meeting at Coyote Pass where he wouldn't even look her in the eye. And now he's asking if she wants to hug.
Do you want a hug or a shake? And Meri's like, is there another option? I don't know.
I was really hoping you'd just be at the bench by the time I got here.
I'll meet you over there in a minute.
Yeah.
I need to collect my thoughts now again, because Meri is thrown for a loop at every single thing that Kody's saying to her.
But he takes it like she's trying to start an argument now because she confronts him about that.
She's
by
being
saying,
standoffish.
Okay, this is weird, right? Because the way we're interacting with each other doesn't line up with the way things went when I last saw you.
Which was at Coyote Pass, the day that we were closing on the sale, and you wouldn't even make eye contact with me. To which he's like, oh, I think I tried once or twice, and then you weren't making eye contact with me, so I just left it at that.
Do you feel like she's being combative?
I don't think she's being combative. I think she's calling him out, which is making him uncomfortable.
She's being too honest for him.
He's fighting back. He's pushing back now. So he's already getting upset at this too. But then he's still trying to pretend to be friendly because he doesn't want to address that he's upset by any of this questioning that's happening right now. Questioning of his intentions.
He's trying to do the small talk thing.
Well, he's telling her. He's laying out the propaganda. He's like, I'm being friendly, because he's asking her, oh, how are things going, Meri? And she's like, oh, I'm doing great. I'm thriving. Okay, yeah. What about that? Like, tell me more. He wants details. And she's like, I'm not doing.
We're not really
details.
On that level, in case you haven't noticed.
I'm not confiding anything with you of what's going on in my life. You're not the person to do that with. And he's basically calling her out for that, of just saying, oh, I'm just trying to be friendly. Not that you need to be friends with me, Meri, but I'm just being nice. No, you're looking for ammo.
Oh, he's being performative.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. And that's why she's feeling uncomfortable and starting to feel guarded, one of her favorite words.
Yes.
The walls are going up.
Yeah, she's building the walls.
Because this is weird. Why do you suddenly take an interest in my life when you have nothing but nasty things to say about me?
Yeah. So, like, the fact that he wants details is interesting, but that tracks.
And she did try to be friends with him. That's what she's telling him. Remember that I said that that's what I wanted to do, and then you got on TV and said a bunch of nasty things about me and my friends, so that kind of made that whole thing go out the window.
That didn't take. Yeah.
So he doesn't like that now, because now she said something about the last time they saw each other. She made a couple of what I think he feels like backhanded jokes, and she said something about how we already tried that and that didn't really work out.
So we're not even
We're not even to the bench.
We're not even at the bench yet. We're walking over to the bench. And this is where we get another Robyn interjection for the episode where she just pops up on screen and lies on national television yet again.
What an appropriate time, though, because she was at the bench last time.
Yeah. Well, she doesn't need to be at the bench this time. What she's saying is because Kody tells her everything. He didn't used to do that. He's never done that prior to the divorces, of course.
Wrong.
That's a lie.
How many times have we already seen on the show, like, roll the tape of all the wives telling a story about Robyn knowing their personal business somehow through Kody because he leaks like a sieve. So we know that. So why is she continuing to rewrite the past?
Every wife has a story because I think Christine talked about a few examples in her book.
Also, wasn't she supposed to be the critical component to allowing these people to communicate with one another?
She was the Kody translator, so she was the middle person in a lot of the relationships, all of the relationships. She was meddling in everything. So that's the problem, is that she was the go-between, she was the conduit for all of this. But now she's bragging about how I don't even need to be there in person because I'm such a looming figure from afar. I don't need to be there in person to make Meri uncomfortable because she's already going to know that whatever she tells Kody, it's going to get back to me.
Yeah. Well, and she's already pre-cleared the conversation that Cody's going to have with Meri.
Did that feel like a threat to like Cody's kids out there where it's like, oh, I don't even need to be there because he tells me everything that's going on? Imagine you're trying to repair your relationship with your father, and then the biggest conflict that you have is that he doesn't want you to say anything bad about his wife. So then it's just like, that's the push and pull. That's the argument that we keep getting into. This felt like more of a message that was being sent broader to the family.
You know, the big problem here is that everyone felt like Robyn was too involved in their personal relationships.
And now the kids as adults are feeling that directly now.
Yeah, and it's too late for her to pull back and say that she doesn't want to be involved. You already destroyed everyone's relationship.
So the
mission accomplished.
The conversation doesn't get better from here. So they do make it over to the bench, and basically Meri's talking about how guarded she is. She still doesn't know what she really walked into today. The weird apology tour benevolence text was very vague. I didn't really know what to expect from that.
Okay, I thought this first thing that he said was threatening.
Because, this was a shot.
Yeah, so she talked about how they haven't really been able to communicate. And then he made a comment about how their last few conversations have been through lawyers.
Liars.
Liars.
Yeah.
So that's been the problem. You know, because Meri, you brought all the lawyers into the whole Coyote Pass thing.
Right. And, well, now you got your fair share, and you should be very happy with that.
You should be happy I kept my promise.
You should be happy.
You got what you thought you deserved.
The other part, too, because this took me a couple of watches. We had to watch this like 3 times. But at one point, he does like a Joaquin Phoenix Joker, like forcing himself to smile, like, or kind of like indirectly telling Meri to smile, because he's telling her, you should be happy.
Well, I think he realized how threatening that sounded. So he had to force himself to look like he was smiling.
So not the way that we need to be going about this.
No, wasn't that gross, though? Also, were the lawyers unjustified? Because you spent like the last 3 episodes alluding to how you and Janelle were going to try to screw her out of her part of Coyote Pass.
That seems like a pretty important part of this, right?
Yeah.
Like, but no, that's not what we're here to talk about today. I'm here because I apologize. I apologize for everything, Meri. So starting off with a big, broad blanket apology of I apologize for everything. Not a great start, because that just shows you don't have any conviction in this apology. You don't feel any remorse, and you haven't given any thought into the specific things that you feel bad about or want to reconcile over.
All right, I'm gonna regret this. I'm gonna defend him a minute.
Okay.
I do think that he came with things he wanted to specifically apologize for, because he does eventually get there. But things started so poorly that he started to regret the apology he was going to give.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So he just went blanket.
Oh, okay. No, that's a good call. Because, I mean, he does eventually get into specifics, but Meri has to, like, draw it out of him. This is the whole thing, right? Is that it's just this resistance that's between them. It's back and forth, shots fired at each other constantly.
Well, we're coming off of a really bad interaction to start things off with. And then he's doing the same thing he did to Christine, right? I'm here for your benefit. I want you to be happy.
I want you to be happy and have a wonderful life. And for closure, all that stuff for you. And Meri's like, I don't need any of that stuff.
I'm good. I did all that already.
Yeah.
Myself, without you.
So if you need this, say what you got to say, I guess, or whatever, because this ain't for me, dude.
No. We're 3 minutes in, and he immediately goes back on the first rule he set for himself, which was to not bring up Jen or Meri's friends. And he says, well, based on what your friends say, it doesn't seem like that.
It doesn't seem like you've moved on because you're still, in it with your friends talking shit about me and stuff. So, like, it seems like you're still pretty hung up on me, Mayor.
That's where she gets pissed. She's going to defend them just like they defend her. So she's like, don't talk about my friends.
But this is where Kody then tries to, like, squash her out, talk over her here.
Yeah. Yeah. This is what is annoying to her. She feels like this happened their entire marriage, where when they would be having a conversation or things got a little confrontational, that Kody would cut her off and not let her speak. And that's right away what he starts doing. And I mean, I don't know if he's doing that in part because he knows this is going to escalate, so he just wants her to stop talking. But it's not fair to come here and say you're going to apologize, but then not let the other person speak about how they feel about things. And also, you made an accusation, right? By saying, I don't feel like you're over things because your friends still talk negatively about me. But then she can't respond to that.
Right. And I don't want to argue with you because it's just whatever I say is the way that things are. So I don't want you to argue about it because you're not going to change my mind on it. But also, I'm sorry. Do you see how that undercuts an apology, though? Yeah. Where, like, if you're immediately dismissing that person's point of view or their experience of how things went down or what they're saying they feel now, and then you're saying, oh, but that's not actually how it is, because it doesn't seem like that.
Well, these are apologies without accountability.
Yes.
That's what he wants.
It's hollow.
He wanted to come in here and have it go exactly the way it did with Janelle, and then kind of the way it went with Christine had David not been there.
Right. Well, because Christine would have just been yanking at a ripcord.
She didn't want to engage in the conversation.
She didn't want to be there at all.
No.
She's like, just say whatever you're going to say. I'm going to ask as little questions as possible, least amount of interaction as possible, because Kody just kept talking that whole time. Everything that he had to say. And he's coming up with new stuff, new things to apologize for, things I hadn't even thought about. I'm still working on my sorbet, and I'm still coming up with new things.
Yeah. Well, now he realizes he messed up.
I just need to stay on point and just
start apologizing.
Keep apologizing. Start apologizing and don't stop apologizing. So he's going to start apologizing for things he didn't even do. He's going to apologize for whatever, everything, all of it.
Apologies so needed, and I apologize.
It's so needed here. But yeah, I did like that Meri stuck to her guns here of, you're not going to shut me down anymore. Let me finish my thought. I'm going to say what I'm going to say. And she basically explains it in the way of, if you come after me, because we did agree to be friendly. We did agree to kind of leave things in the past and move forward. And then you started running your mouth. And so the people who care about me, who are very important in my life, came to my defense.
He's asking her to try to control what other people do.
That's wild to me, is that you are telling your ex-wife, who you have no relationship with, to tell her friend, who's also an adult, an autonomous human being, to stop saying things about you.
I'm surprised he didn't bring an NDA with him, like for Jen.
Well, this is wild too, because then, of course, Kody has to rub in the fact that, Christine, Janelle, Robyn, and me all agree that I have never silenced Meri ever. So I think that's a pretty big claim. Maybe we could run the tape back on that and check that at the tell-all.
Wait, hold on. Remember how Meri pretended to have a relationship with you for like 10 years on camera because you didn't want her to speak about it, but she's never been silenced?
Well, and then also how you tried to screw her out of her share of Coyote Pass unless she signed an NDA.
Yeah, remember all that?
Usually that's a pretty big way to silence someone as well. So like, yeah.
We need better producers on this show. How are you not asking those questions back to somebody when they make a statement like that?
Because to drop that in for Kody to defend himself in that way, to undercut Meri's experience of not being able to speak out, that made me upset from the production standpoint. Like, I got mad at the show for even including that. Like, that was insulting.
I was so proud of Meri when she said, "Do you apologize for being toxic to me?"
Well, he had a couple of different apologies, because that was one of the things that he apologized for eventually. But it was like, I think he was apologizing for, "I'm sorry about my feelings towards your friends." And Meri's like, "Well, I don't fucking care what your feelings are towards my friend. Guess what, man? Those are your feelings." So I think that's what's weird here, is where Kody is still seeking emotional regulation from his ex-wives for the things that their friends are doing, people who he doesn't have relationships with either.
Well, that's what she's trying to say to him. Your feelings are kind of not my business.
Yeah.
I don't care.
No.
And I'm not here to regulate them for you.
So then he shifts to where, okay, well, I'm sorry for, like, the apology is needed, where this is just, it's so toxic and I'm a contributing factor in that. And that's when Meri's like, "So are you apologizing for being toxic to me?"
Sure, if that's what you want.
Yes. Yes. When I was toxic to you,
what would
tense,
you like me to apologize to you for?
Yeah, what
that
movie,
always makes an apology feel really genuine.
What movie are you trying to see? Yeah, like, he doesn't know what it's going to take, because now Meri is trying to hold him accountable, because she's like, if you're here to apologize, you better have some good reasons lined up.
Yeah, give me the specifics.
And then he's like, he's pulling away. He's pulling back now.
This woman's been waiting 30 years for this.
I'm regretting this. Yeah, he is changing his mind actively as this is happening. You can see it washing over him here.
Okay, it got weird because then he tried to bring up the whole, well, I didn't bring all of the luggage with me.
That's luggage floating down the river.
Right. He said the luggage is floating down the river, which is, don't bring up the past because I don't want to talk about it. The past is in the past.
I'm apologizing for the luggage being in the river, but just let it go downstream.
Which is where there's no accountability.
We're just going to do an insurance claim on it, and it's all damaged. It's all lost. We'll get reimbursed for it. And then that's it. Okay. Just leave it alone.
And she jokes, well, I didn't even bring the luggage with me, first of all. Because he's making it like she's trying to dig up the past because she wants to start a fight.
Well, also, he didn't say that this was the conversation, because then Meri would have had some time to think back on a few things.
Hold on, I've got a list or two.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're just going to bring this up with no notice and say, here, this is the chance that we're going to have to talk about it. Because once we're done talking about it, I'm going to wash my hands and walk away, and you're never allowed to bring any of this stuff up ever again.
That does feel manipulative, right?
It's incredibly manipulative.
Because they were caught off guard about what this conversation even was.
Yes. Yeah, Meri had no idea what she was walking into here.
Yeah. So he doesn't understand that she's making a joke about the luggage.
Well, and when he keeps saying this is all in goodwill, that's why Meri doesn't trust you, because it doesn't sound
There's never been goodwill.
There's no matchup for, just because you keep saying it's goodwill and that you're being friendly, just because you're saying that doesn't mean that it is that, because it doesn't feel like that.
No, but doesn't he want the goodwill to come his way?
Yes, I think that's what he's wanting it to be. He's telling her how he wants her to act, because he's not acting that way.
Be mad at me anymore and say nasty things about me.
That's the main goal. Yeah. He's trying to silence her, to shut her up. Yeah.
Then he has to apologize for not finding her funny. which further enrages her.
I do get the analogy that you're going with. Yeah.
It's not a thing that she wants an apology for. It's fine.
I'm sorry that I don't find you hilarious. I apologize for that.
Hella hilarious.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's Meri's description was hella hilarious. And that's your loss. You're missing out. The people in her life who are important to her, who do care about her, do appreciate
They really
how
like
hilarious.
her peepee poopy booby jokes. She's very funny.
Her hilarious jokes. Ron really gets her sense of humor.
Okay. At this point, he said, I apologize 12 times. So she's like, I got to tell you, it's starting to feel a little bit insincere and it's weirding me out.
When you just keep repeating it and then you're just saying it for everything, it feels like you are mocking it. Like you're mocking yourself. Your own apology is becoming a mockery. So then for Kody to describe it as, oh, I'm sorry, is that triggering you? No, that's not a trigger for me. That's not what I said.
He must have said trigger about 5 times too. You triggered me in the parking lot. I'm triggering you. We're going to trigger each other.
No, like that's not a trigger. It's that you're not being sincere. It's a red flag is what it is. It is an alarm bell that, hey, this isn't a real apology.
Yeah, well, when you just start saying I'm sorry for stuff right off of the back of somebody saying, hey, this upset me, doesn't it sound like you put really no thought into the whole interaction and whether or not you genuinely feel like you're sorry for it?
He had already asked her at that point, what do you want me to apologize for?
Yeah.
So
it feels hollow now.
Now it seems like you're picking up the pieces of, oh, that's something that's still upsetting to her, so I'll apologize for that.
He should have just come in here and stuck with the list, just like he did with Christine, because then he does get to what I believe was the original intention. Because he says, I apologize for saying I didn't love you. That was pretty fucked up. I apologize for how toxic I was to you, which I think was new.
During the divorce.
He came up with that one on the fly off of what she said about, do you apologize for being toxic to me?
Yes, he did that specific time range, too, of being toxic to you during the divorce. How about the entire marriage? I think he had, because it was, you can run that clock back a little bit further, probably. And then I think it was like an echo of his apology for being so angry during the divorce with Christine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
it's
it was
kind of
similar.
saying the same thing.
He's just tweaking it a little bit here.
And then I'm sorry for not being there for you in Vegas during the dark time.
And also, not being there for you during the dark time. And Meri's like, just so you know, you not being there was the dark time.
Mm-hmm. She's getting a little touchy about the catfish.
I will say, we still haven't seen on-screen accountability from Meri about the catfish in its full entirety. So accountability where accountability needs to be. Meri still hasn't admitted to the infidelity aspects of the catfish, which still bothers me. So I will still hold her accountable to that.
Well, they're not going to talk about that.
No.
No. I don't know how that then kind of segued into them reflecting on old times.
There was a nostalgia bit that came up here, and then Kody has to clarify.
Time where we hated each other. It was such a great time.
There was some good in there
here
too.
and there, every once in a while.
A couple trips to Mexico. Yeah, there were some good times in there too.
But I don't want you to confuse that with me wanting to get back together with you.
That's not it, Meri. And then Meri's like, never crossed my mind. That's not a problem over here. You're not going to need to worry about that. We are never,
ever getting back together, Kody.
No.
Thank God. I'm glad Meri finally got there. It took a long ass time.
Maybe Kody had to clarify that because this apology tour kind of reignited something for him and Janelle. So I need to lay this out there.
Just to be clear.
Just so we're all on the same page.
That's why they had to meet so far outside of town.
It's not near a hotel that we could just pop over to. Yeah, no. That's not what I'm here for.
Nothing for old time's sake. Although Meri's looking good.
Meri's looking better than Kody.
You know, his teeth look so yellow in comparison to hers.
I think this was the problem, was that this was Kody right after Special Forces, where he was trying to come and show them what they're missing out on here.
And Meri showed up there. She's looking like youth has just been poured back into her body since she's left this man.
This is a backfire for Kody.
She's unbothered with her venti that she walked in with.
she's ready.
She's thriving and not just surviving.
No,
No.
definitely not.
Loving life. Yeah, that's upsetting him a little bit that she's not looking as haggard as Robyn. They all look so much better than her. So this is the point where she's getting upset that she would like to have a two-way conversation, not just be apologized at. That's getting kind of weird.
Yeah, and like for her, anytime she brings something up, and then Cody's like, well, I don't want to argue about it. And so he just keeps shutting down the conversation. And that's already frustrating to Meri, too, from earlier in the conversation. So can we just talk back and forth a little bit?
No.
No.
We're going to trigger each other.
That we're just going to fight, and I don't want it to be a fight that's really going to cut from my apology thing that I'm doing here. I have a whole thing going on.
But if you need it for closure on your end, sure, fire away.
But if you have any questions, feel free to ask questions. Like, questions are good.
This is why she was so confused for all these years.
But because you're saying...
That's contradicting what you just said.
You're in this conversation, and then you're establishing two different completely different scenarios that we can't do both of them.
Yeah.
I think what the unspoken part of those instructions are, if you have questions that are within Kody's approval, you're not disagreeing, you're not undercutting anything that he's saying, you're not countering that, because that's argument. He's not here for argument. He just wants you to agree with whatever he's saying, not along like Christine did.
Yeah, please do that.
And then you can ask a question that for more details, I guess, about it, or maybe how he was feeling about it at that time or something. Like those questions.
And if you'd like to apologize to me for anything, I'm definitely open.
Oh, I'm very receptive to apologies coming my way as well, if you would like to apologize. So the way that he brought that up at this point in the conversation was pretty wild.
She's having a hard time not just bursting into laughter at the table.
Because then he keeps going back to the luggage analogy too. And she's like, dude, you can talk about the luggage. I don't care about the luggage. Please stop with this. And he's like, well, what do you need for closure, Meri? Do you need closure? And she's like, no, not really. I'm there. Are you there? Because it doesn't seem like you're there based on this conversation. It seems like you're working through your emotions about us in this conversation right now. And this is the only time that you're going to think about this.
Well, he reveals later that this whole thing is about him and God. So that's been his intention. And she caught on to that earlier. Like, this isn't for me.
No.
He's trying to frame it like it is, but this is all for Kody. I mean, the one thing I did feel like he was actually really sorry for was when he started talking about how he acted through the divorces. And how, you know, in the past, he'd said repeatedly that if a wife decided to leave, he'd buy her the house down the street. He'd be benevolent. He'd let her live there for free. He'd pay her child support. He'd do all the right things, right? So that he could keep having access to his kids.
Well, because, yeah, that sounded great at the time.
Yeah.
And then in practice, he was like, I'm not doing all of that. So then he was ashamed that he wasn't that good guy that he preached that he was for so long. In practice, in actuality, it's a piece of shit.
I do feel like he is sorry for that, but I don't know if he's sorry for it because of the way it affected other people, or he regrets it because it made him look really bad.
Yes.
And now he's not able to overcome that.
That's the ashamed part.
And Robyn's upset with him about it.
Because of all the times that he said, I'm sorry, the things that he apologized for, because they weren't cutting around that. It didn't seem like it, based on the fact we heard him say it about 32 times this episode. So that was interesting on that one. He didn't apologize to Meri for that. He said, I'm ashamed that I wasn't that guy.
Well, and we know narcissists hate shame.
That's very triggering.
Yeah, that's an emotion they really don't like.
So then that's what Mary's like, is this going to be a pep talk for Kody then? Be that guy. I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah.
I didn't bring my Worthy Up notebook. I don't know what I
could have brought you something, some paperwork,
some materials.
Yeah, a journal for you to work through when you get home.
Something. Yeah.
I did like that she pointed out that those were things he always said before Robyn came around.
That was an interesting connection point.
A lot of things feels like they changed after Robyn showed up, and this was one of them.
Well, he had said that on the show, though, too.
Yeah, he did a lot.
He said that on the show.
I'll give you a pile of money and you can go.
If it's money,
nobody's a hostage
take
here.
It and go, yes.
Yeah.
So, like, that has come up, too, but then that has changed in the subsequent seasons of the show.
I guess the one thing I want to pick apart about that statement is, was he doing that because it was the right thing by his wife? Or was he doing that because of wanting access to the kids? And he kind of already decided that he wasn't interested in the kids anymore.
I was going to say, that's probably the biggest component that changed in that scenario, is that he wanted access to the kids and now he doesn't, honestly, is what it comes down to. And that's the part that sucks, right? Is where it's just like, he doesn't make an effort. He's not trying. And when Meri brings that up, because, hey, MVPs of the apology tour, it's David and it's Meri, because they bring up Kody's kids.
Okay, this was so uncomfortable because he reaches across the table and grabs her hand.
Okay, so that's the thing I'm thankful for. I'm glad that Kody didn't reach across the table and touch David at any point.
The table was too big.
The table was too big, thankfully. So there's your mistake right there, Meri. You should have went to a steakhouse or something with a big
conference table.
Conference room center, something with a little bit more space between you. Because he reached over the table as soon as Meri brings up the kids and he goes, let's not talk about the kids.
It's verboten.
It's verboten. And Meri pulls her hand out from under his hand and is like, Kody, I don't even know what that word means. You're just saying stuff now. So I can't understand you when we're talking here to make yourself feel bigger.
Well, he's got that throbbing vocabulary that Robyn's really attracted to. He's whipping it out here.
From her,
Meri.
From her Pinterest board.
It's a stream of bullshit, is what he said. The stuff with your kids, a stream of bullshit? They're never going to get an apology from him. Maybe a better response would have been, hey, I'm still working through my feelings on that, and I'd rather not talk about it in this conversation.
What's wild, too, is that she didn't even say, like, you need to apologize to your kids or need to work on anything.
Just, you have a lot of kids.
You have a lot of kids, is what she said. That was what was enough for him to say, let's not talk about that. Because he knew exactly where that was going. Because they were on kind of that nostalgia kick where it was, Meri was talking about how if you went back and asked me if I wanted to change anything. Or
I have no regrets.
Never get married. Yeah, no regrets stuff. And then that was a connection point that they had because it was high five. Kody went full putty on that from Seinfeld. High five.
Because she didn't regret anything. Yeah, he didn't like where it went from there, though, because she's saying, I still consider everyone to be family.
And then he's like, ooh. I don't know about that.
I don't like the way this is going.
Disagree. High five rescinded. How do I put that back?
Yeah, she was talking about in her confessional about how, Kody's changed a lot and she was hoping to see improvement, but he's just not getting any better.
Yeah, because they were going back and forth about what they think of each other. Like they were still focused on that. Because of course, Kody's sensitive to that. We were talking about shame being a trigger for him. He's still sensitive to what everyone thinks about him. So to have that release, because then that's what he was then shaming Meri for, oh, you shouldn't be feeling a certain way about what I think about you. If I think you're a bitch, that shouldn't matter to you.
Yeah, she confronted him about that. You think that I'm a bitch? You think my friends are bitches?
Well, that shouldn't matter. Like it shouldn't be a thing.
But then what Meri and her friends think of him should not matter.
That's the part.
So you brought that up first.
That's the part that's missing. Yes, because I don't know how we started the conversation with Kody telling Meri to have her friends stop talking about him. And then we end up with Kody doling out the divorce advice here for Meri about you really just need to let this stuff go.
Yeah, it's not your business what I think of you.
And that's where Meri had to clarify, okay, well, there's a lot of thoughts that I have about you that I don't vocalize either. So if it's not meant for me, if you don't want me knowing about it or commenting on it or talking about it, you shouldn't be saying it out loud either for me to hear. This
is where I made this point during our Mediocre Down episode on Patreon. I feel like they need to break the fourth wall of this show because the real conversation they're having with each other is that they don't like what's being said on camera, right? He doesn't like what she says in her confessionals and vice versa. So then you need to just say that. Because the hard part here is that you're on a show where you're being asked questions about each other and about the past and about your current relationship. And then you're arguing about what those responses are.
Picking at the luggage that's floating down the river. Stop with the analogy. That's enough. But like, Meri did lay it down in a pretty clear way. She kind of goes into toddler parenting mode here, where it was basically, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything. Like sort of a definitive statement where it's just, if it's not my business, don't make it my business.
And she made a good point that they're never going to see eye to eye on the past. They both were there in the same places at the same times. They had vastly different experiences.
Well, especially, yeah, because Kody's throwing out accusations about how they don't need to be commenting. Your friends don't need to be making comments about me because they don't know me. And Meri's like, they were there. You were around.
He keeps trying to act like he doesn't know Jen.
The distancing that's happening from this.
If you go back and look at early seasons when they're in Vegas, Jen is at multiple family parties.
Jen's at stuff. She's there, man. Yeah, so she's been around.
She hasn't been as involved in the show as she is now, but she was there.
And she wasn't at Robyn's house, though. So don't recall.
We don't even remember one friend that Robyn had aside from the one who was involved in the catfishing.
It's a lot of family members for Robyn. It's Mindy. Like, it was Mindy for the longest time, right?
All the babysitters.
The
nannies.
A rotating cast of nannies.
Meri's just at the point where she's like, look, I don't understand this man. I'm happy I don't. And I'm not going to go out of my way to try to get there.
I liked that.
That's a very healthy place to be.
It's to let go of that mystery, because you make that your job at a certain point when you're trying to figure out, you're trying to understand this unsolvable puzzle. And that becomes your entire existence, is figuring this out. And why doesn't this work? And it's not working. But when I do this, it still doesn't work. So it's just the goalposts are always moving. Nothing's ever good enough. And then it's always just going to be at your detriment. Kody has to win. Kody has to win everything. Mm-hmm. Every interaction, every exchange.
Well, that's why Jen was afraid of her coming here today.
Yes.
That's the same thing it's going to be.
It's going to be at your expense.
Back on the merry-go-round of like, Kody's here trying to manipulate you and in the end win the exchange.
But I think this was big. Like, this was the most important scene that we've ever seen Meri in this show, I would say. This is like one of the best Meri episodes ever. Just because the way that she changed so much, like there's so much growth from Meri in this episode, because it's exactly like what I was saying, like last episode when Jen was shitting on Meri for even entertaining this. And it's like, you have to do this. She has to experience it firsthand and come to her own conclusion that, yes, this is messed up. This is toxic. This isn't working. And she has made that realization.
And that she's done everything she can do on her end. And this just is who this man is.
It ain't me.
Yeah.
It ain't me, babe. So like, that's what it really comes down to. And nobody else can tell you that and have it make sense. You do have to experience it.
I kind of wish that the OGs would be able to get together and just agree that, man, none of us understand Kody. And there's a lot of stuff that we don't agree on about the past. And part of that probably is because he was involved in the situation. And I would like to see the three of them be able to at least come together so that their kids can have that family relationship.
Because Meri was still defending Kody at like even more recent seasons.
Oh, well, during the other divorces.
Yes.
When Christine left and Janelle left, Meri was still, standing by her man to a certain extent and defending him.
It was strange. And then even
they
through
were
hers.
Insulted by that because they were like, Meri, you were the first person that he treated this way.
And she's like, whoa, don't let me in on all this stuff with your guys' problems.
I'm not saying that Meri hasn't done things to hurt them or that she deserves anything. I just think that she really has tried to grow from this experience, and that you see that her and Kody are in two totally different places because someone's done the work and someone hasn't.
Yes, exactly. And I think the interesting part too, there was one little line that Meri said in her confessional where she was talking about things that she's discovered since then. It was like part of the remaining amicable sort of agreement that they had. And she was talking about why that didn't really work out.
Yes.
That was a little nugget.
Oh, she knows about the backdoor deal.
She knows stuff. So like she probably heard, other things of what Kody had said, or the interactions, the exchanges, things like that, that undercut any of the other things that he was telling her of let's be friends, benevolent, let's be all of these things.
Which tells me the tell-all is going to be great.
I think the tell-all should be good.
Because especially from her standpoint, because he came there and unloaded that bullshit on her, and then she's going to find out that he was trying to actually screw her over on Coyote Pass.
So hopefully she opens up about a couple other things that she's not supposed to be talking
girl.
about. You got to pop off.
Let the skeletons out of the closet.
You got to do that. But this pretty much wraps up their conversation, except for Cody's been chugging water throughout this. There were a few different points where Meri was talking where he's just slamming water at the table because he's now reached the point where he's like, Meri, I got to go pee. I got to do peepees.
That seems convenient.
And I think we've kind of ended at
we've exhausted this
pretty reasonable spot here where we're not really fighting anymore. We kind of landed on a mutual agreed sort of agree to disagree sort of.
I don't think things are better.
No,
but
I didn't expect them to get better, actually.
We've reached a natural conclusion to this conversation.
And I need to pee.
And he wasn't kidding.
Because
they stood up
for
the bathroom.
Well, they stood up and he hugs her because he offers a hug or a handshake, and she takes him up on the hug this time willingly
to squeeze his bladder a little bit.
I think she was trying to squeeze a little something out,
maybe,
or just hold him
pee on camera.
Yeah, hold him up a little bit longer, just so we have an accident here.
Why didn't he just go like he did on Special Forces? He was peeing everywhere. Apparently, he was peeing inside the tent that they were sleeping in.
At night,
in the barracks. Isn't that disgusting?
It happened.
It's everyone else's bedroom, too. It was not a bathroom.
He was trying to say it was a vent, like something that was supposed to be going somewhere. It was
not an intended place for you to go to the bathroom.
That's not a designated pee-pee spot. So, yeah, I'm surprised he didn't just whip it out on the tree here, but he didn't.
Pee on one of Meri's rims.
He started running, though. He had to run to the restroom. And Meri was like, well, I hope it doesn't leak on you there.
Kind of hope it does.
A little bit. He tried to play it off, too. Oh, I'm not that old. After a nice, oh!
He did find her funny at the end there.
He guffawed. Yeah, see, she won you over with the comedy. Eventually. It took a minute here.
I'm ready to see her talk to Jen about this.
Yeah.
And I hope they don't hold back, Jen and Amber. Maddie and Janelle. We've got like a quick little thing with Janelle this episode. So they're out in the garden and Janelle tells Maddie about how she's going to pursue getting a spiritual release.
Maddie's like, ew, why? Gross. What?
Why are you talking to the church people? This is kind of like maybe unnecessary. Why do you feel like you need to do this?
I just want to cut ties. I'm trying to sever all ties. Every way, shape, and form that I possibly can.
She doesn't want to be tied to him at all.
I am not taking any chances of risking an eternity with this man.
I did kind of understand what she was saying because they spent years trying to convince us that these spiritual marriages were just as important as legal marriages. So why would they then just walk away and say, I'm divorced and not take care of that, ending that commitment that they originally made?
Yeah, I think Maddie's concern was, oh no, is Janelle going to fall into like the religion again?
Like they'll talk you back into it?
Yeah, that like they're going to get you assigned to somebody else here instead or something.
I don't think that they want any of these people back in their church.
I don't think they do. Yeah.
They've been kind of bad for PR,
A little bit, not so good. But then I guess that's what Maddie's thinking of. Okay, what if scenario? What if they say, no, you're not approved for a spiritual release. Then what?
Yeah, that's the weird thing about it because you're not going in and saying, hey, I'm here to fill out the paperwork for my divorce.
Yeah,
I just like to
have
process
this done.
this.
No, you're asking for permission.
Yeah,
basically.
It's got a yes or a no response to it.
So it could be no. So then what happens then? And Janelle's like, then I've pretty much exhausted all of my avenues, I suppose, for
then I tried
separation. And that's good enough. I think that's between me and God at that point, and we're cool.
I just she was like, I mean, it could cause me to spiral into a crisis of faith, but I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
I'm not going to worry about that right now. Well, maybe include that as part of your reasoning.
By the way, if you don't give me this release, it may make me leave the religion. She hasn't.
She hasn't.
No, she's been saying little things where it's apparent like she does still believe in the, even though she said she would live polygamy again.
Before, like closer to, like us. I think that's what Maddie's worried about. Her biggest fear is that Janelle...
They'll find you another man in there.
Janelle's gonna go
before you walk out, you'll be married. Just like Janelle's mom.
Yes. This is what Maddie's afraid of. She's like,
Cheryl just went up there to check things out and ended up married to Win.
Not to just check things out. To deliberately, find reasons to not allow this to happen.
Foil her plan to join a cult.
And then it was like, you ended up there.
All right, well, Maddie does have a reason to be
worried.
These
are real concerns that Maddie has. She's like, please don't be there for too long. I can't go with you.
So Janelle said she told Kody about this already. When they were talking about Coyote Pass, she slipped this in there that she was planning to get the spiritual release.
I mentioned it. Yeah, I mentioned it in passing. And Kody was basically on board with it. He's like, yeah, I guess good luck with that. Whatever. I don't really care. And then when they asked him about it, he's like, yeah, I don't remember her ever mentioning that. I don't really track those things. He didn't listen to
anything that she had to say.
I don't really track any of that stuff. It didn't have to do with our backdoor deal, so I wasn't really paying attention. Probably.
That's the truth. But if he doesn't remember that, then that makes me question all of his memory of what happened with the backdoor deal.
Well, then he was saying stuff, too, about how he tried to go get spiritual releases, and they wouldn't allow him to because he's a man and he's not allowed to ask for spiritual releases.
Well, you were the problem.
Well, and also think about this, too. If you were the church elders, this is Kody Wynn Brown, who came and begged to add plural wives multiple times. And that was approved at that time. So then now he's coming to you and being like, big mistake.
Well, also he sued the state of Utah and then kind of fucked it up for everybody and made the laws worse.
Yeah, so
and then moved away from the church and really hasn't participated in things.
This is for you. Yeah, that's for you to deal with.
I think he doesn't care because he blocked the number that called him last time, and he's not going to be hearing what they have to say.
Not going to answer. Yeah. Didn't answer that time, not going to answer this time.
Well, he learned his lesson. I am very excited to hear what they're going to say this release is based off of, because the last one was abandonment. And Janelle saying that was pretty clear. Meri had a very solid case of the fact that they weren't living together for a really long time. He really wasn't communicating with her. There was no relationship there.
Well, it's been a few years for you now too, Janelle. Like that's been an ongoing thing here. So I think you have a pretty good case then too, if that's what you're going off of.
Yeah. I hope she shares what she says when she goes in there, because it's not like she's just going to go in there and tell him that he sucked. He sucked.
Yeah, he fucked off. He was, he's a deadbeat dad. And, he picked the wife that he wanted to live monogamy with. And so, yeah, the rest of us are just dealing with that. I don't think that's going to be too hard of a sell. Like I said, there's 20 seasons of the show that you can reference.
Yeah. They all know the story.
They know what's going on.
Well, next episode, we're going to see Janelle meet up with Meri after she has that church meeting.
So I don't know if that means that Meri went with her, but like she was at least there for support after.
Grab lunch together after.
Grab a little bite.
Must not have been that long of a meeting because it was the same day.
Pretty quick.
Yeah.
In and out.
Cody's going to try to give an apology to Robyn? For what?
For being stinky?
For sucking the life out of her. He flips over on an ATV at some point. We're recycling storylines that made us cackle last season.
Okay. Just because you struck comedy gold with the one, now Cody's like, oh man, I need my ATV moment not to be outdone. So he's going to try for it. It's not the same. If you're trying for it, I don't think Robyn was trying to go over the handlebars on camera. I think that's what made it so special.
That was a lucky accident.
That's what made it so wonderful.
A happy accident.
She didn't want that to happen, and it did happen. Now it's Kody just running around like a toddler trying to imitate something that got a laugh last season. That's ridiculous. I don't want that.
We're going to continue to be recapping Sister Wives over here through the rest of this season. Seems like it's going to go to early February.
I think that includes the tell-alls, though.
Yeah, well, they count as part of this season.
Yeah.
So we're going to be here for a couple more weeks, guys. And then over on Surviving Reality, we've got a lot coming up. We're going to be recapping The Cult of the Real Housewife, all about Meri Cosby on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. The Traitors is going to be starting on January 8th, and we're going to be recapping all of that.
There's also a new show coming out on TLC called Suddenly Amish. We're very excited to be recapping that as well.
So if you want to hear all the other stuff that we're talking about, make sure you subscribe over on Surviving Reality or check out our Patreon. Thanks for listening. See you next time.